Coach Phil, we are at Kremlin Boxing Club. You're the head coach here. But I know you used to be a professional, no, you used to be an amateur boxer. You competed at the Olympic Games. But first of all, I want to ask you, the region Kremlin, I've heard about this place, that it's a place where in the past kids used to fight a lot, it was dangerous. What kind of place was Kremlin when you were growing up?
That type of place. Well, we had our difference between Crumlin and Drimnagh, a little feuds. It was just it's a teenage thing, I'd say, and we'd have to come in twos or threes coming through the park because we didn't want to be jumped on by Crumlin boys. I mean, but that all faded out, as the years went by, right? But we still have our competition spirit between Drimnagh Boxing Club, Crumlin Boxing Club. Now there's a club up in Green Hills now. So they're all in the same locality, the Dublin 12 area. Right? There's a lot of boxing clubs in Dublin, and very, very good boxing clubs and great coaches.
And when you were growing up, why did you choose to start boxing?
I just wanted to box. My father did a bit of boxing in the army, and he brought us up to the club when I was only 4, up to Crumlin. Crumlin wasn't here; it was in the back of the Star. It was a wooden building. Right, it was a lovely little club, very small, but it was a lovely little gym. But the coach said to me, "Dad, we're not here to babysit Tommy." You know what I mean? So we went down to Drimnagh, and they weren't there to babysit either. So we had to wait a few more years before I was just going on 10 when I joined Drimnagh Boxing Club, right? And my brothers came after me, and they were all winning titles before I ever won titles. You know what I mean? So it was just in the area. You want to box, you want to fight, you want to be the best at with your game, whether you're cycling, swimming, running, anything. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of competition in us all back in those days.
And you started with boxing. You say you wanted to be as good as possible in boxing, and you actually reached the Olympic Games. You represented your country, Ireland, 2 times. However, if I were to believe the internet, then you did not really decide to become a professional, but you became a coach.
That's correct.
Why did you not proceed as a professional, and why did you become a coach?
Well, when I broke my hand in 1979, the European Championships against a Russian, right? He went on to win the gold medal. I won a bronze that year. So I was told I'd never box again. My hand was too bad, right? And it'd never be the same. So I was devastated. But then I took up coaching in Drimnagh Boxing Club, and eventually I became the top coach in Drimnagh Boxing Club. And then it was a short-lived period, because in 1980 my hand started to get a little bit better. So I started coaching, and I liked coaching. And I was coaching in Drimnagh Boxing Club at the time, wasn't here, Drimnagh. And I was still staying fit. I was only a young man. I was trying to work, do what young men do, chase women, go training, to be as fit as possible, trying to get on with life. And then in 1980, my hand started to get a little bit better. But before the competition in Russia, in the Olympics, it went again. And it was very, very sore. So I went to the Olympics with a very bad hand. But I could still spar with different weights up and still hold my own. And also I was twice European champion as a bronze medalist. So they kept me on the team because I was on par with everything, but they didn't see the pain I was in because I hid it. I showed no emotion. I hid the pain. Right, but then when I got to the Olympics, I thought I'd still do good. But when I got to the Olympics, I met a guy called Daniel Zaragoza, right? He's Mexican. He was a very good Mexican. I had a very good fight with him with a very bad hand, right? But he beat me. He won his next fight, and I think he got cut and he couldn't proceed. But Daniel Zaragoza, as you know, went on to be 3 or 4 times world champion. He beat, in one of his last defences of his title, he beat Wayne McCullough. So Wayne McCullough is over there with my daughter, right? And Wayne gave him a good fight, but Zaragoza was just that little bit too clever, and he was an old fighter by then. You know what I mean?
That's in 1980 at
That's
the
in
Olympics.
1980, yeah.
But you competed one more time at the Olympics in 1984.
Well, after 1980, I went back coaching to Drimna. So I coached a good few champions. They're on the wall all around us, right? And in 1980, I made 2 comebacks after that when my hand wasn't proper. When I say comebacks, I had 1 or 2 tournament fights. I would say Mickey Mouse fights, right? To try and see my hand okay, but it was never okay. And then I met a girl, I got married, and it went all around the place, right? And I had to keep work to pay the bills, because the boxing, amateur boxing, does not pay you anything. Now they have a bit of sponsorship. They have a high performance wage. Some of the boys that reach a level in the Europeans or in the world, they have to reach a level before they get paid, right? And it's not enough for them anyway. I don't feel it's enough. You know what I mean? Like, you're competing against Russians, Germans, most of the Eastern Bloc countries at the time, and they're all soldiers, and they're on a wage. They're on a weekly wage. So they're not losing anything. Where in Ireland, an amateur boxer has to give up a lot of things. You know, a lot of life luxuries and a lot of just simple things, not luxuries, simple things like paying bills, saving for the car, because you're not going to do it. In those days, you couldn't do it, right, while you're boxing, if you wanted to commit to boxing. So it took a lot of sacrifice to stay boxing, right? I reached my dream when I was 19 or 20. Was it 20? 1980, right? I reached my dream by representing Ireland in the Olympics. It's my dream since I was 10. Right, but to go again was another dream when my hand got better. You know what I mean? Because I knew I could do better what I did the first time. You know what I mean? Because I didn't show my true potential because my hand was smashed. It was very badly smashed. And so I just played along with it, still in Drimna Boxing Club. To come back, Austin Crute was my trainer at the time. Mick Dowling was my original trainer, but he started his own club. So Watson was the trainer at the time in Drimna, and it was my first trainer was Joe Bean, right, in Drimna Boxing Club. What a fantastic trainer, right? He gave me the inspiration what I have today.
But so what you say is 1980 when you were, I believe, 21, because you were born in 1959, right?
Yeah, 21. I was
so you
going
were
on 21, yeah.
Yeah, so you competed at the Olympics. You fought against Zaragoza, who eventually became a world champion as a professional. You lost that fight, but you had a banged up right hand, yeah?
Right hand, yes.
So then you took a couple of fights just as a comeback,
Yeah.
and in 1984 you competed again at the Olympics.
Yes.
How did it go for you there?
My luck again. It went very well. I had a very, very good fight against a guy called Maurizio Stecca, an Italian boy, right? He was already junior world champion. He was hot favourite for the Olympic gold. And he was my first fight and and look up that fight and have your own opinion without commentary, without the commentary on it. Have your own opinion on it, and then you put whatever you want to do in your video thing, right? It was a good fight. It was unfortunate that I met him first because I was right. I was fit, right? I was strong. I had everything going, but he was more technical than I was. Right, but it was a close fight. It was a pity I didn't get a fight beforehand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus, I was very light on both occasions. Like the lady that's doing the video there, her son is very light for the weight that he's doing. He's boxing in the All Ireland finals today. I was very light for bantamweight. I used to weigh about 8 stone 3, where the weight is 8 stone 7. You know what I mean? I was given
How many kilograms is that?
Well, 54 kilograms is 8 stone 7. I used to weigh about 52.7, 53, you know what I mean? I was giving away 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds all the time because I was training and the thing. I possibly could have made with the science today the next weight lower. You know what I mean? But it wasn't there, so it didn't happen. But no, I gave it all, which I do in all my fights. And I just came out a loser. Well, you don't lose, you learn, right?
Yeah.
So 84 and 85. Things start getting. I joined the army. I joined the army in 81. So I was a soldier then, and I was pursuing a career, physical training instruction. Right. I went then on to teach school in Clogher Road Tech as the PE teacher down there for nearly 7 years. Right. So life was good. You know what I mean? And I was coaching. I didn't really want to get back in. I made a few attempts to come back to boxing, but it was too difficult trying to provide for the family because I had 2 kids by then, you know what I mean? And it was very difficult, but I could coach and still work, and I was enjoying the coaching.
Yeah. So basically, you competed in the 1984 Olympics. You lost that fight, but in your opinion, from what I understand, you do not agree with the decision.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that. I said it was a very close fight. It could have went. Either way, yes. I like it was close enough. If he won, which he did, you couldn't complain. If I won, you couldn't complain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So okay, so you competed there, but you say you had 2 kids already. You had to take care of the family. You were a coach, but you also had another job.
Yeah.
And your son also became a professional boxer.
That's right, Philip Jr.
Yeah. So what is it like for you to watch your son compete? Is it a nerve-wracking experience? What is it like to watch him fight?
It's nerve-wracking watching any of my boxers fight. He's my son. I didn't treat him different to the fighters. He got the hard fights. He actually got harder fights than some of the other boys because you put him up there. But he did very well. He won. He beat John Joe Nevin in a great fight. John Joe McDonough, John Joe Nevin, one of them, right? But John Joe was exceptional, right? And he stopped him. You know, he had to because he was beaten twice before by him, right? And John Joe was beating all our boys, Jamie Cavan as well. John Joe was very, very good and an excellent sportsman and an excellent coach now at the moment. But no, when he beat him, he decided to go pro a little bit later. I'd be a little bit disappointed sometimes. Maybe I should have turned him pro earlier. But he was the same as me. He had a bad hand. He had pins in his hands, and he had a lot of hand trouble. But he was powerful. He was a bigger puncher than I was. He's a big puncher. But I also have another son, right, Dylan, who's won the Commonwealth gold medalist. He's silver medalist in the European Championships. He's considering going pro now at the moment, right? And he's going to be exceptional. And he had the same problem, his hands. Now he wouldn't be as big a puncher as Philip, but he's very, very technical.
But do you think that's like a genetic thing with the hands?
I don't know. Could be. A lot of fighters break their hands. You know, that's called a boxer's break. Like a lot of fighters have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just have to bandage upright and protect your hands. Protect your feet, your hand. They are tools.
Okay, so you've got 2 sons, both of them very good boxers.
I have 3 sons.
3 sons. 2 of them are boxers.
3 of them were boxers, but one of them didn't. 3 of them. One of them was 4 times Ulster Junior by 4 Youth 1 champion. You know, in Ulster, in Northern Ireland. They live in the north.
Okay, and what would you say to the people watching the interview? How does boxing influence a kid? What does boxing do to the mentality of a kid? How does it develop you?
First of all, it gives you discipline, respect. Depends on the coach who's teaching you. Some coaches don't teach enough respect. I'm not saying any coach in particular, but some coaches don't teach enough to get respect. Right? You see my coaches on the floor. I train them. I didn't train Deco because Deco's an excellent coach. Deco trains my pros. I just do the corners. I'm the kind of the brains. They're not saying they're not Brady. They're good. Right. But I'm the man that sees it all. I see the difference. I see all of the things. You know, that's my gift. It's my gift by being so passionate about the sport.
Okay, you're very passionate about the sport. You started coaching in the 80s, actually. So you've been a coach for probably more than about 40 years at least.
Yes.
At the very least. At a certain stage in the early 2000s, Conor McGregor joined your gym. He was a kid back then. I believe, according to the internet, he was 13, but I don't know exactly.
I think he was only going on 10.
Okay, could be.
He was only going on 10.
Okay, so that boy comes to the gym. What was he like? What could you look at that kid and say, "Whoa, there is something special about him"? Or what was he like?
He's like any other kid on the floor. He's treated no differently. You know, he was told to take his football boots off when he came into the gym because you're not allowed to wear football boots because he was a footballer. He's a very good footballer too. And he wanted to box. So he's there, we taught him to box. He did the drills like everybody else, right? He's very elusive. He was very clever in reading. He was a very, very good reader. You know what I mean? He could time the shots, and which you see now, right? But he perfected that. But when he was about 13 or 14, maybe 15, I'm not sure of the year's time. So sometimes I can't remember yesterday. Never mind going back that far. But he timed everything. He loves precision. Precision. Very few of them. That's where he was special. He loved the precision of the shot, the accuracy, the thing. You know what I mean? Like I was doing with her son there before, when you just came in. Or you know what I mean? That's what I want to see. The excellence in Crumlin. That's why we call it a school of excellence.
Mm-hmm. So that boy comes. You say you are not treating him differently than anyone, just one of everybody. But you said he loved precision. What I've read on the internet was that he has 40 amateur boxing fights. Is that correct information? Did he compete a lot in boxing?
On the tours they showed, yes. Yeah, he didn't compete. I think he won a Leinster title years ago. I'm not sure. We entered him certain times, but he was going from this to wrestling and thing, and it's very hard to. And that was only new at the time. You know what I mean? New to us, new to Ireland, where fellas wrestle and they do jiu-jitsu and they do all these modern sports. You know what I mean? Mm. And he went into that at a young age, right? But he was still coming here to box. But when he goes into that sport and he can use them, it's more than a gift. Like we have a few kids transforming from the boxing over to the MMA, the mixed martial arts, and our kids are holding their own with boys that are doing the martial arts a long time. You know what I mean? Holding their own.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't have to go down to the ground, or they don't have to, because they feel they don't have to, because they can catch the kids with their speed and their accuracy and their skill that they learned here.
Yeah, that was exactly the case with Conor, because earlier in his MMA career he was actually almost refusing to train jiu-jitsu because he was very confident in his hands, yes, because of Crumlin Boxing Club.
Yes.
However, I want to ask you a couple of last questions. I apologize to the camera person. A couple of last questions. Conor has one technique where he slips, throws right uppercut and left straight, and normally it's a very dangerous way if you start with an uppercut, but he does it. Where did he learn that?
That's why we call the shot after him. We call that shot the McGregor. That we name shots after our boxers that are perfected. Conor has perfected that. Even nearly every fight. We have a Declan Gerdy, a Deco, we have a Succo. You know, we have anyone that really perfects a shot. We give the kid that shot, and then we call it from the floor. We used to call that the Russian, because a Russian, my brother went over to Russia one time, or the European Championships, and he seen a shot. I used to say, don't bring me back a t-shirt, bring me back a shot that I know, that I can learn from. See, you learn from your kids as well. Do you understand? You learn from your other boxers. I'm still learning. When I give up learning, I'm packing up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you named that shot after him, but how is it possible for a person to slip, start with an uppercut and be so exposed, but still land the shot and not get hit?
Because it's reading. Boom! It's reading. You know what I mean? It's reading. You have to read your opponent. Don't let him see your shot. Mm-hmm. And he does it very well. That's why we named the shot.
When a couple of
There's a picture down there. I don't know whether you've seen it or is it here. There it is there.
It's exactly that shot.
Yeah, there it is there.
Yeah.
That's called the McGregor.
Okay, but that shot, which you call the McGregor, okay, it's a trademark shot of Conor. However, when he fought against Floyd, he did not have you in his corner, and he did regret about that later. I asked you last time, I ask you again, what should Conor have done differently against Floyd in order to win that fight?
I believe he should have punched harder. He was trying to preserve himself that little bit long. Like with boxing, you have to be able to punch hard, right? Especially professional boxing, and you wear down your opponent. And if you can do that for your 10 rounds, the rounds might get easier as you go along. Conor was preserving himself, and Floyd Mayweather we don't have to talk about Floyd, what he's done in boxing, unbelievable, right? And for what Conor did as an amateur boxing skill, right, to go into professional MMA, and what he did to Floyd, He hit Floyd with more shots than any other fighter ever hit him at those things. Imagine if he was putting a little bit more weight in them shots. The punishment that Floyd would have been taken. Instead of just instead of, because he has power, as we've seen. His backhand is lethal. You know what I mean?
But do you believe that if Conor had put more power in these shots in the early rounds, that he could have actually beaten Floyd Mayweather?
$1 million question. That's that question.
Even more than $1 million, I guess.
Well, more than $1 million, but that's $1 million question, right? But yes, he had the opportunity, he had the tools, right? He had the fitness. So who knows? That's probably why we might get a next one and see who wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Last questions. So if you look at McGregor's boxing skills, and if you were to compare him with the people in his weight class, although it's difficult to say what McGregor's weight class is, but if you were to compare him with the boxers at his weight, how would he do against the professional boxers at his weight?
He boxed Floyd Mayweather. He's a professional boxer. He was the best in the world. So you tell me. Do you understand? Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? He boxed one of the best in the world. Boy that beat all the best in the world, Floyd Mayweather. And how did he did? He hit him with more shots than any other fighter hit him with. On the stats, and the stats don't lie. Now, that's the answer.
Okay.
Okay?
Last question for you, I promise. So we're at Kremlin Boxing Club.
Did you do that in Bulgaria? The last question was 10 questions before.
That's a Bulgarian thing, but this is the last one, I promise you. So, Kremlin Boxing Club, you organize events, you even bring Conor McGregor sometimes to fight here. Tell me, what is the culture of Kremlin Boxing Club?
The culture? In what sense of the word?
So
we're open for everybody.
The logo?
The logo is a shamrock. That's Irish. It's a shamrock, right? We compete in the boxing ring, right? The red corner and the blue corner, right? The hands of friendship. No matter what colour or creed or what nation you come from, we treat you with the same respect. Once you fulfill the rules, have respect for others, have respect for your coaches, have respect for the people that's in the gym, because everyone is treated the same, right? Of course, we have Juban, a European gold medalist, best boxer in the championships. We also had Willow Hayden, gold medalist at junior level, right? But we have a special boy now, Christian. We've loads of special boys, but they all train and been coached the same. They all have their own little magic, and that has not stopped from them. If I see some magic in them, we don't get it. You know, we let them develop it themselves. If they see something that I can't see, then I learn from them. You know, like we had Martin McDonough, who won under 20 the novice championships and under 22 Irish, the senior championships, and an elite championships in 2 years. And he wouldn't be the most technical boxer in the world, but what he had was magic. So you have to work with that. We also have a guy that boxes like this, Floyd. He boxed Sugar Mosley, Matt Floyd. He's from Australia. His mother's from Crumlin, which is why he came here. And he boxed James DeGale in a bare knuckle fight, which was robbed, bad decision. But he beat Sugar Floyd. I know Floyd is old, Thing is young, but he still beat him. Floyd still cornered a few shots and hurt him, right? But that's another great story of Crumlin Boxing Club. So we changed the Russian into the Irish, because he said if I beat Sugar Mosley, you have to change that shot from the Irish, and I said to the Russian to the Irish. So we did that. You know, so that's why we changed the Irish into the Russian, or the Russian into the Irish.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right. So, but because he was able to do it so well, and he did it with Mosley. And you know, I don't have to tell you about Mosley if you're a boxing fan. All the titles he won, even with, I think he decked Floyd. Did he deck Floyd?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, look that up. Yeah, and then you can screen it off, whatever you say.
Yeah.
But that was a great achievement. But they come to Crumlin because of the friendliness, the atmosphere, and I hope you were made feel welcome even when I wasn't here. Do you understand?
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you very much for the time, coach. You've been very welcoming. You took the time. You are actually the man who developed Conor as a boxer. So I really appreciate your time, your hospitality, and I wish you, for real, all the best with Kremlin Boxing Club and everything that you do.
Good man.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.